Imam Ali alayhis salam said, "Do not force your children to adopt your manners and ways because they were not created for your time but for another time." This saying carries within it the depth of wisdom that transcends ages and societies. It reminds us that every generation is born with a unique set of challenges, opportunities and experiences that shape its identity and approach to life. When a parent tries to impose their own ways and manners upon their children without understanding the context of the child's own time, they may unintentionally limit the growth potential and creativity of the next generation. Imam Ali alayhis salam highlighted that children are not simply extensions of their parents. They are individuals entrusted to us for guidance, love and nurturing, but they also belong to their own time. They will face trials and circumstances that the previous generation did not encounter. The tools, the language, the environment and the culture they live in will differ, and therefore their approach to life must evolve accordingly. The timelessness of this wisdom is reflected in how societies have always changed across centuries. What was once considered a norm or standard in one era often becomes outdated in the next. Parents of the past who grew up in simplicity may find it difficult to understand the complexities of modern technology and global communication, but for the children of today, digital tools and worldwide interaction are a natural part of their identity. If parents rigidly insist that their children follow old ways without adaptation, they risk creating a gap that weakens the bond between them and may also hinder the child's ability to thrive in their world. Imam Ali alayhis salam was teaching us that true guidance is not about forcing children to live in the past but about equipping them with values, principles and wisdom that remain eternal. Honesty, integrity, justice, compassion, faith and responsibility are examples of virtues that never fade with time. While styles, cultures and tools may change, these values form the bridge between generations. When children are raised with these core principles, they can apply them to their own time and circumstances with relevance and strength. Parents must learn to distinguish between the eternal and the temporary. Manners and ways of a past era may have served their purpose, but they were never meant to be absolute standards across all ages. For example, methods of communication, the dress of a society or its traditions of entertainment may hold cultural beauty, but they are not binding upon the future generations. The essence of faith and morality, however, remains binding because it is rooted in divine guidance. By respecting this distinction, parents empower their children to live authentically and successfully in their own age instead of being forced into molds that no longer fit. When parents adopt this approach, they build relationships of trust with their children instead of conflict. Children learn to love and honor their parents because they feel respected and understood rather than pressured into outdated expectations. This teaching also emphasizes foresight. Imam Ali alayhis salam wanted us to look beyond the present and prepare our children for challenges that we may not even fully comprehend. Our duty is to raise them in such a way that they can think critically, act justly and adapt wisely to new realities. Forcing them to imitate us blindly will only leave them unprepared for the demands of their era. Consider the example of education. In previous times, memorization and strict discipline were considered central to learning. Today, while memorization has its place, modern education emphasizes creativity, problem solving and emotional intelligence. If a parent insists that a child must only study in the rigid style of the past, they might hinder the child's intellectual growth. But if the parent provides guidance, encouragement and moral support while recognizing the needs of the child's age, the child will excel and carry forward the spirit of learning in ways suitable to their time. Similarly, in matters of career choices, a father who grew up in agriculture may not understand why his son aspires to enter the field of software development or digital design, but if he reflects on Imam Ali's wisdom, he will realize that the child belongs to another time and his world is not the same as the one his father knew. This acceptance nurtures harmony and growth instead of resentment. This guidance also holds importance in the realm of religion and spirituality. While the principles of faith never change, the way they are expressed or understood may vary with time. The youth may use technology to spread Islamic teachings in ways their parents never imagined. They may organize digital platforms for charity, online classes for learning the Quran, or forums to defend Islam against modern misconceptions. Forcing them to abandon these new methods in favor of older customs may weaken their ability to engage with their contemporaries, but guiding them with core values ensures that their modern tools remain rooted in divine principles. Imam Ali alayhis salam through this saying also addressed a universal psychological reality. Children naturally grow curious, independent and innovative. If they are suppressed by the burden of imposed traditions, they may rebel or become disengaged, but if their creativity is nurtured within the bounds of morality, they flourish and carry forward the light of their faith into uncharted territories. It is worth noting that this wisdom does not call for the abandonment of all parental influence. Rather, it redefines the role of parents parents instead of being controllers. Parents must be guides instead of dictating every manner and way. They must teach values, demonstrate love and model integrity, and then allow their children to walk their own paths in their own times. History shows us how societies that refused to adapt and insisted that every generation must live in the past often stagnated or collapsed. Those that balanced the eternal with the evolving, however, flourished and progressed. In every generation there will be a tension between tradition and modernity, but Imam Ali's teaching provides the solution. Do not force children into the past, instead guide them to face their present with timeless wisdom in practical family life. This wisdom calls parents to listen more to their children, to understand their struggles in school, friendships, careers, and spiritual growth. It calls upon them to support rather than suppress, to mentor rather than impose, to love unconditionally rather than conditionally based on outdated conformity. When this is practiced, children grow up with confidence, faith, and resilience. They honor their parents naturally because respect is born out of love and understanding, not compulsion. Imam Ali alayhis salam thus provided us with a principle of parenting that is not only religious but universal. Even non-Muslim thinkers, educators, and psychologists today recognize the importance of adapting parenting to the time of the child. They agree that each generation must be prepared for its own unique challenges and that blind imposition of the past can harm growth. This alignment of modern science with the timeless words of Imam Ali proves the depth of his divine wisdom. As parents, we must ask ourselves, are we preparing our children for our past or their future? Are we guiding them with principles that will empower them in their own time, or are we chaining them to customs that no longer serve them? This saying is a mirror for us to reflect on our responsibilities. It is a call to embrace wisdom, foresight, and compassion in raising the next generation, because they will carry the trust of faith and humanity into a world that we may never fully see. Imam Ali's words are not just for parents but for teachers, leaders, and mentors as well. Anyone in a position of guiding the youth must remember that the youth belong to their own time, and our duty is to equip them, not to force them. Through this timeless teaching, Imam Ali alayhis salam teaches us that true love for children is not about control but about trust. It is about believing in their potential, respecting their individuality, and preparing them with values that last beyond ages. In conclusion, this saying embodies a philosophy of life that is at once spiritual, psychological, social, and educational. It is a call to balance the eternal with the changing, to nurture without suffocating, to guide without chaining. It is the voice of divine wisdom echoing across generations, reminding us that children are the trust of Allah in our hands, and their time is not ours but theirs, and our responsibility is to prepare them for it with love, patience, and timeless values.